What happens when the streets understand politics? What happens when anger turns into passion? What happens if everyone was woke? I'm James, and my co-host's name is Billy. Together, we're trying to figure out questions like that and more, along while ranting and raving about today's political climate.
On this episode of Off Center, James and I will briefly recap the second round of the Democratic presidential debates. In the second half of the episode, we tackle guns in America in the only way we know how, raw and truthfully.
What up, what up?
Hello.
It's another day here at Off Center. I'm here with my boy Bill. Bill, how you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good. So, guys, to open up, I just want to tell you that we were right. Well, I was right. Walmart is dangerous. Yep. 2 mass shootings. Less than 24 hours of each other. Crazy. Craziness, right?
Yes, pure craziness. You go to Walmart, you go shopping, it's a Saturday.
You get shot.
And, I mean, it's families out, kids are out of school. You know, you go shopping and, yeah, unfortunately that happens. A guy walks in with a freaking assault weapon. As
if the Walmart experience isn't enough minus the assault guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I was living under a rock over the weekend, and when I decided to peek my head from under that rock and found out about all those things that were going on, I was just like, geez. And this is right after the debates.
Yep, and they were actually talking about gun violence at the debates. And the weird thing is this man drove 10 hours.
Yeah. We're talking about the mass shooting that happened in El Paso. The individual who conducted the act actually drove 9 hours from a suburb outside of Dallas and drove to El Paso. And nobody knows why he picked this Walmart, but he picked the Walmart that had a large Hispanic population, and he just went in and did some things that were not cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is not a laughing matter. We definitely want to take a moment of just silence for the people who were lost in El Paso and also the ones that were lost in Dayton as well. Just craziness.
Yeah, oh, and the one in Ohio killed his sister.
Twin massacres is what I'm going to dub them, the twin massacres. Yeah, that was his sister. So could you imagine the parents? Like, could you imagine what they're experiencing right now? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how would you feel if somebody came to the door and told you that both of your kids are dead and one killed the other?
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
I literally have no words for that.
And it all happened in 32 seconds. Incredible. Well, on to brighter news. I was actually in Detroit over the weekend, and I got a chance to get to the Fox Theater where the debates were held. But, you know, since we're talking about the Democratic debates, I just want to dive into that just a little bit more, because I know a lot of you guys did not watch the debates. Shame on you, you little fuckers. Shame on you. We got some fruit this week. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I think we went in knowing that some people were going to emerge because the stakes was so much higher in September. We knew that they were going to come out fighting, but the first night was really good. Really, really good. I think it was full of policy. Second night, almost like what would you call it?
I don't know. I could call it a traffic jam. And
that's a good one.
Yeah, it was a traffic jam. So just to give you a heads up, or not a heads up, but just to let you know the format for this past week's debate. It was 20 candidates split over 2 nights, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. On the Tuesday night roster, you had some heavy hitters, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and wasn't Buttigieg on that?
No.
He wasn't. He was on night 2?
Yep.
So you had Warren and you had Sanders. And it was
right.
them.
Those was the two top tier candidates.
Right. And it was them against the world.
Right. They kind of like teamed up and took everybody down on the sides.
Right. Anybody else who was involved in Tuesday's debate, you just fell to the wayside because Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders definitely stole the show Tuesday night. Then you had Wednesday night and you had Kamala Harris. What's that man's name?
Joe Biden. Cory
Booker. Buttigieg was on that night too?
Yep.
Are you sure he wasn't on night one?
Oh, maybe he was on night one.
Yeah. Yeah, Buttigieg was on night one looking crazy and quiet.
He wasn't quiet.
He was very quiet, if you ask me. He didn't do it.
Andrew Yang was on 2.
Yeah, Yang was on 2. So, recap. Once again, night 1, you had Warren, Sanders, Buttigieg. Mm-hmm. Those are the only people that really matter from night 1. Night 2, you had Biden, Booker, Harris, Yang, and a surprising new face, Williamson.
She was on night 2.
Was she on night 2 or she was night 1? Oh, no, she was night 1.
She was night 1.
Oh, shit. You know what?
Good, you made a mistake.
You know what? It's so many.
There's a lot of candidates, guys.
Damn it.
Give us a break.
It's hard to keep up with them. They talked about a lot of different things. Like, they really dove into healthcare. You got a pretty good understanding of where everybody stood when it comes to healthcare. Biggest takeaway is that Bernie still wants to give everybody health care, wants to get rid of private insurance. Warren, I think she wants to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to do the same thing. Harris wants to do a combination or universal health care. Basically, she wants to expand on Medicaid, but she doesn't want to get rid of the private insurance immediately. She wants to phase the private insurance out. Don't want to forget that. When it comes to Mr. Biden, he just wants to build on Obamacare. Nothing special, nothing extra.
There's a little more substance into that, but we could debate that later.
Okay, yeah. He does. He wants to take moderate approaches to expanding healthcare.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew Yang is trying to give you $1,000.
Pete
Buttigieg, I don't know what he wants to do.
He believes in Medicare for all if you want it.
Okay, so that's another combination piece. So he doesn't want to get rid of the private sector, but he does want to have Medicare available for everyone. I know it sounds like a lot of technical jargon, but just to kind of condense it for you, a lot of people trying to make sure you can go to the doctor, y'all. That's all it is, and they're trying to do it at a cheaper cost. It's a few options that are on the table. You're going to have to really look into it and try to figure out which one works best for you.
Can I make a comment about the debates?
Well, go ahead, man.
Debates, maybe they really do move the needle for some people.
Yeah, for some people, I would definitely argue to say that the debates have an effect on some people. You know, me and you, we've went back and forth on whether or not the debates were a big deal.
Right.
Whether or not, you know, it really would push the polling numbers. At least early on, we came to a consensus that, you know, only the nerds really care. And, you know, the polls really are inflated at this point. But I think as you get closer and closer to the general election, debates hold a really, really critical spot.
Right.
When it comes to the factors that get people to go out and vote and who to vote for. New York Times actually did an article, or they did a podcast on The Daily with Michael Barbaro. And they were talking about this election cycle. If you notice, the DNC, which is the Democratic National Committee, they arranged the debates in a different way this time. And that's in response to 2016. Yeah, that was the last election, right?
Yeah, the GOP's
primary. Right, exactly.
They saw the mishaps.
Right. They didn't want to repeat that situation. And so what they did was they just restructured the way the debate would be held, and they put some really tough rules to qualify to kind of filter out individuals earlier on in the process, so that I guess America has a chance to really get to know the candidates. However, they didn't expect this to happen. And when I say this, they put a lot of power in the media's hand. So instead of it being a campaign, or instead of a candidate having a campaign that was geared to boots on the ground type of approach. Candidates now, if they really, really want to get out to people, they have to do it through the media, because there's that polling piece, and then there's also the donors piece that is necessary. When you think about how much power the media has in how we view these candidates, that can get a little scary.
Yeah, it could be. And just to rewind a little bit, because you're exactly right about the DNC wanted to take into account how they structured the debates this time, because what happened was in 2016, a lot of people watched debate night 1, or the debates was on the same night, and they would play the lowest card of all the low people at first, and then play the top tier people second. You know, so that's why they wanted to draw it and make it fair. It was supposed to be a fair process. But to your point, the media has a lot of power, but you also have to have common sense.
Okay, but here's our problem though. The majority of the people don't watch the news.
Because why? It's a reason.
What's the reason?
It's too depressing.
Is that it?
That's what I hear.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's because they tired of getting lied to in the damn news. Nobody believes the news anymore.
You tell us. Comment on our Twitter, Off Center Now, and tell us why
you don't watch the news.
Right. Tell us why.
Yeah.
And we'll address it on the next podcast.
That's a great question. So yeah, definitely get online. Hit us up on Twitter, Off Center Now. Let us know why you don't watch the news. So, along those same lines, on my way back, I had a young lady that was sitting beside me. And
was she old, James?
No, God,
okay.
She was 35.
Okay.
And so I was asking her, just small talk, letting her know I did a podcast, kind of poking and prodding, just trying to see where her head was at. And so I asked her, did she watch the debates, and was she excited, or how did she feel about the debates or about politics in general? You know what her response was?
What?
Nothing's going to change. And my friends, that is the attitude that so many people have, is that nothing is going to change.
Can you blame them?
No, really I can't. Really I can't. I cannot blame them, but I don't want to get too deep into that despair, that well of just depression. But here's some things. Here's some food for thought. When you look at the slantedness of our voting system, whether it be the partisan gerrymandering, whether it be methods of voter suppression, whether it be the Electoral College and how you feel about the Electoral College, there are things that make you feel that the system is rigged. It makes you feel that way. And Kamala Harris talked about this on CNN. Oh, no, actually, no, it wasn't CNN. It was actually another New York Times podcast where she was describing the way in which she would lead in her policy. The way she thought about it was how long it takes to get things done. And so I say that to say the lag in between noticing a problem and something actually happening to that problem or addressing that problem by the government is so long that people don't care, or they believe nothing is going to happen. And if something good happens, then, oh, this is great. This happened to me. Oh, thank you. They're just completely surprised that something great came out of the government when it probably was 10, 15 years of all kinds of protesting, filibustering, just campaigning, all kinds of crazy stuff that was going on to get this one bill passed that could drastically affect people's lives. But that story is the same story for a lot of situations and a lot of problems that this country faces, particularly one that we're going to discuss in detail today, and that's guns. So I'm going to run a couple of facts by you. Bill's going to throw 20 million facts because he's like the fact king. And we're just going to dive into this gun problem that we seem to be having. recap